So motivation isn't just about wanting something. It's about understanding why it truly matters to you. Today, we are diving into the things that are really important. What are the core values? What are the core motivations you have, and why do they really matter? Because that's what fuels long-term consistency. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. I'm glad that you're here with me for another episode of my 100-day walk to consistency. Remember, every day that you stay here, every day that you show up, every day that you put the time in, every day that you push through, you are building a better, more resilient, more self-confident version of yourself. We are on day number 76. Let's go ahead. I'll see you on the walk. So yesterday we talked about keeping your eyes on the big prize. And to be honest, the motivation is really what builds that big prize, right? On that big goal. And truth is that shallow motivations rarely last. They are good to get you going. They are good to spark some excitement, that initial jump into something. But if the motivation is simply a shallow one, if it just stays right there, then it really doesn't provide the energy, it doesn't provide the stick-to-itiveness, if you will, that you need to keep you going. Because as we've said, there are things that are going to come up. And while we don't want to harp on the fact that things may not work out, we want to be sure that we are building into our process those moments when it will be challenging for you. Challenging for us, I should not say you. But when we have a motivation that is strong enough, that is built on our core principles, that alignment that you keep talking about, then that will be sufficient to push us through when we have those difficulties, when we have those times when things don't seem to be going the way we want. Also, when we have those motivations that are not just surface, then as we are moving to our goal, we're excited and we are enjoying the process. There's nothing like trying to achieve a goal and the process being a place where you are not learning, where you are dreading every single day, every moment. And that is not what we want. Now, every moment that you have is not going to be full of, just excitement. And there are going to be some days when you're going to be had it. You're going to be humping. You're going to be at the grind, as they say. But what we want to make sure is that as you are moving to your destination, as you are moving to your success, that the journey itself become a learning environment, a tool, and that you are having some joy as you're moving through the process. Because as we said a couple of days ago, or maybe even yesterday in our episode, sometimes we go to the exclusion or we go to the extremes. We either talk about just looking at the destination and forgetting about the journey, or focusing on the journey and forgetting about the destination. And each of those has, if we go to those extremes, each of them has their own flaws. And so we don't want to be to the exclusion of one or the other. We want to be balanced in our thoughts, but the journey is important. And having that core why, the core values, the core goals is very important. And so understanding your motivation for this, your deepest motivation, is very important. One of the things that I want you to begin getting into the habit of doing is whenever you are asking yourself a question, as we will be asking here, why, we want you to not just simply be in the process of doing that surface. I want you to dig deep, and I want you to begin asking yourself. Remember, a couple of days we went that 7 layers deep. Why was this? And then when we had that answer, we asked why that was the case. And when we have that answer, we asked why that was the case. You want to make sure that you're continuing to do that in all of these spaces. Okay. All right. So Why does your deep motivation fuel consistency? Why? That's what we're talking about, and then how we get there. So what's the difference between surface motivations and deep motivations? All right, think about that for a second. Most people, when we talk about goals, it's based on kind of surface things. Like I want to lose weight. I want to make more money. I want to be more productive. And those are the surface reasons. But there are reasons beyond that. One of the lessons that I did was when I was talking to someone about my difficulties I was having in medical school, and the question was why. What's motivating you? Why don't you just stop? Why don't you just give up? And it was okay. I wanted to be a physician. Well, why do you want to be a physician? Because I want to help people. Why do you want to help people? Because I want to, I've seen people in my family, people around me who were ill, and how they ended up having difficulty. And so I don't want that to happen. Why don't you want that to happen? Because I like people. Why do you like people? Because I like connection. Why do you like connection? Right? So we went deeper. And I am motivated by connection. I'm motivated by, and I'm going to turn around because there's some lawn care going on over there. But I'm motivated by connection. And so the things I do are with the intention that I am establishing and I am building connections. And so most of that, okay, I want to be a physician, had to do with connection. And you see, if I were simply thinking, okay, you wanted to be a physician because that's just it, then there are some underlying things that I would miss in that thought process. So we want to make sure that we're not just accepting that surface thought. I want to lose weight, I want to get blood sugars better, I want to make money. Well, the question is why? Why do you want to do that? And what is the ultimate motivation? Surface goals fade because they're not emotionally connected to you. So being a physician, I mean, it's a thing, but there's no emotion for me. All right? It wasn't until I got to the connection with the people that the ultimate answer came, right? So there's that emotional connection. So we want to make sure that we are doing that. The deeper you reason, the stronger your commitment is. So the more you go to look at what is really causing this, why do I really want to do this? What are the motivating factors? The more you do that, the deeper you go, the more that commitment will become strengthened, and the more drive you will have. Remember, direction, right? Focus and energy. Direction, focus, and energy. DEF. Is that the good acronym? DEF. Still working on it. Okay, but yeah. So if you've uncovered that deeper, if you uncovered that deeper reasoning, right? That deeper motivation, then DEF becomes doable, becomes usable. It is going to give you what you need to push through and to get to your success, right? So DEF, direction, focus, or direction, energy, and focus. So here are 3 layers of motivation, right? So finding your true why, finding a true why. So there's the external why, which is what we've been talking about and what most people will say they are dealing with. So these are the things that people see. These are the things that look good. These are the outer motivations. This is I want to be number 1 in sales on the job. I want to have the big car. I want to lose weight. So that's number on the scale. So these are the things that these are things that are external. These are the reasons that we will say when people ask us why we're doing something. They are the ones that bubble to the top, and often what most people will put as their motivation for something, right? Because it looks good, it sounds nice. Um, they are helpful, but they aren't lasting. They're helpful, but they're not lasting because they don't have the depth that we need for them to support us with our direction, energy, and focus. Hitting the number on the scale when we get there, when we're in the group, and we talk about, hey, what is your goal? Well, I want to lose whatever number of pounds, or I want my A1C to be whatever it is. I want to write the book, right? So those are surface. And those, like I said, they will start you going, and they will give you the excitement. And often they are when we do read something, they're the things that we tell people. Hey, I've lost 30 pounds. Hey, my A1C is down to 5.7. Hey, I wrote the book. But what's the underlying why? And then number 2, there's the internal why. This is your personal goals. This is where motivation becomes stronger, right? So you want to feel better. You want to have more energy. You want to tell your story. Those are deeper, less shallow goals and motivations for what we want to do. These are the ones that are more meaningful, but they still aren't the deepest level, because they still are, part of that sounding good and looking good, and they do give us some more drive than the surface thing. So I want to lose weight. Okay. All right. I want to lose 30 pounds. Okay. So we've gotten a little bit more specific. I want to write a book because I want to tell my story. Okay. I want to improve my blood sugar because I want to feel better. Okay. So they're there, and they are a little bit more in the direction of our true reasons for what we want. All right. So those are the internal ones. And then there are the core whys. Core. These are the deep ones. These are the emotional connections. So far, notice that I want to lose weight. There's really not an emotional connection there. I want to lose 30 pounds. There's not, maybe a little bit more connection, maybe a little bit more energy, maybe a little bit more emotion, but still a bit surface. Your core why is the deepest, most personal why. This is what we don't tell people. So I want to lose weight. I want to lose 30 pounds. I really need to get down because I'm tired of how I feel when people see me. I'm embarrassed about not being able to, I went on the plane and they had to give me the 2 seat belts. Or I went to my doctor and my A1C was, right? So there's that deeper connection. I feel bad. My energy, I don't feel like I can do anything. Right, so these are the deepest whys. As we talk about those deepest whys, the question then becomes, who am I doing it for? Right? So I want to lose weight, often that's for other people. I want to lose 30 pounds, maybe for us, but sometimes other people. But I don't like how I look. I don't like the fact that I can't get into that dress. I don't like the fact that I used to be an athlete and now I can barely walk up the stairs. I don't like the fact that my feet are numb and tingling and burning. I don't like the fact that I almost died because I had a heart attack. And I can't imagine what it would be like for my daughter, my son, my spouse to not be here with me, right? For me not to be here with them, to see them grow up, right? So those are even more connecting with us, right? Because there's some emotion now that we are attaching to those things. We are saying that there is a reason, there's a deeper reason. So why am I doing it? Am I doing this for myself? Or am I doing it for other people? What will my life look like? Right? This is one of those coaching questions. What will my life look like if I don't achieve this? And this one often will be a significant motivator, because we are now thinking and adding emotion to not achieving our goal. People are sad, they're depressed, they are lonely, they are not accomplished, they're restless, irritable, discontented. That increases. I can lose my family, I can lose my job, I'm alone, right? So we're putting now emotions attached to those. What happens? What does it look like if I don't achieve this goal that I've set out? And then the second question is, what happens if you do? Right? So we felt the energy. We felt the emotions. Sorry, we felt the emotions that come from not achieving the goal. And then now, what's the energy that comes from achieving it? Now, what are those emotions like? What pain am I avoiding by achieving this? Right? So what pain am I avoiding? What pain is there if I don't achieve it? Right? So back and forth between those two questions. And that gives you an idea of some of the deeper whys of the things that we do. Otherwise, they become just these words that we say that really doesn't have that connection, doesn't have that emotional pull or emotional drag for us. And as we said before, the more emotions that are attached to something, the more it's remembered, and the more likely it is that will push us to achieve the goal that we've set. So you want to make sure that as you're going through this exercise, that you don't just remain surface, all right, as you're going through this discussion, because this is one of those. I know, I say it. One of those keystones, one of those keystone principles. So instead of I want to be healthy, right? We could go deeper, right? The 7 layers deep. And I want to be around for my kids as they grow up, right? That's a deeper one. I want to be healthy. Yeah, it's a nice thing. It's a good thing. And there may still be some connection to that emotionally, right? Because I know when I go to the hospital and I'm rounding or I get a consult, there are people that I see that, they've had a heart attack. They have had a stroke. They've had loss of a limb, or they're on dialysis, or they've had, they have neuropathy and significant pain. And those people knew that if they didn't control their diabetes, and that's what I'm talking about in this case, that those things would happen. But the fear of that was not strong enough, right? It wasn't strong enough to push them to look at the things they needed to do, right? This whole idea of limitless living that I keep talking about. So limitless living says there's nothing that's going to stop me from doing what I need to do to be healthy. That means that if I'm a diabetic and my blood sugars are out of control and I do not know what to do, and I'm going to my doctor is not able to tell me what to do to get it under control, then it's my responsibility to find someone who is able to enlighten me to get control. Let me put a pin right there, okay? Because what I hear often is that, well, I go to the doctor and they've not been able to control my blood sugar. And guess what? You need a different doctor, right? So the motivation to get control of your blood sugar doesn't come from the doctor. The motivation comes from you. And so from us, I keep saying you, but it comes from us. And if we are going to take control of our lives, then we have to find the resources. And I often tell people, this is kind of like being at your house, right? And you come home and there's water all over your living room. And you call someone, a plumber, and they come to the house and they look around and they uncover this and they do that and they do some other stuff and they can't figure out what's causing it. We don't say, well, I guess they couldn't figure it out, so we'll just leave the water. You know what we do? we find somebody else. And if that person doesn't help us, we find somebody else. And if that person doesn't help us, we find somebody else. And we keep going until we find the person that's able to tell us why my living room is wet, why my sofa is just messed up. But when it comes to health, often we leave that up to somebody else. And we cannot do that. Limitless living says that is not how we function. It's our responsibility to locate, identify the person that's going to help us. Okay? So our motivation, the motivation puts us and sends us in that direction. So back to that deepest, the core motivation. So I spent some time talking about limitless living there in a minute, because I thought this is a great place for that, because it really ultimately is the mental space that we need to find ourselves in. It is the framework that gets us to success. And consistency is a superpower. And that superpower works within the limitless living framework, because we are not allowing anything, outside or inside, to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be healthy. And so as we are working to be consistent, we also have to adopt that framework that it's me. I am setting into place. I am taking responsibility. I'm not allowing anything to just happen to me anymore. Right? Yeah. So that's you gotta start talking. That's another concept that we're gonna have to deal with. So I don't want to go through what my parents went through. It's another motivation. I've seen the pain that it caused. I saw mom and dad be on dialysis and have a stroke and lose a limb and on and on and on. And I don't want to be in that space. So I am not going to go down the same road. That's another part of that core motivation that will push us in that direction of being healthy. There is, and we talked about seeing the son or the daughter grow up, and I gave you the example of the grandparent who bought the rods and reel, right, the whole tackle set. But other patients that I've had who have had difficulty controlling blood sugars or some other metabolic issue that we've been dealing with, who all of a sudden show up to the office and they're like, okay, let's get this under control. And I'm like, well, why? What happened? What's new? And they're like, well, I'm pregnant, or my wife is pregnant, we're having a baby, or whatever it is. That motivation all of a sudden stops being surface, and it becomes one of those deep core. It's not external, it's not internal. It's one of those core motivations now, because it has some emotions attached to it, and it takes us to a deeper level. Okay, so you want to make sure that as we're doing that, we are attaching the emotions to it, and we're going 7 levels deep. Because if we stay on the surface, then we don't get the benefit that we are looking for in terms of being consistent, and in terms of being resilient, right? Deaf. That's what I was looking for. Definition or direction. Sorry, direction, energy, and certainly it does not give us focus. Okay. All right. So how do we use the deep motivation that we've discovered? How do we use that to stay consistent? Number one, we are also creating those statements. Remember, we talked about the why statement, and we looked at that, I think yesterday was one of the exercises, going 7 layers deep. Well, why do we want to do it? Write out a statement that sums up your deepest reasons, right? And we've done an exercise, and this is important, because as we are moving closer and closer to our definition of our why, we want to refine it, we want to examine it, and we want to be sure that it is consistent with what we say we want. So go ahead and write that out, look at it. Why do I want to do this? Who is it for? What are the feelings associated with it? What do I get What happens if I don't achieve it? What happens if I do achieve it? All of those concepts that we talk about, you want to be able to look at the why and say, hey, what's going on? For example, I'm committed to my health so I can live fully and be there for my family. Okay? That's a deeper why, other than I want to be healthy. Okay? That's the first thing. Number two, you want to set daily reminders of your why. In my phone, I have a message that comes up periodically, and it says, am I willing at this time to do what I need to do to achieve my success? And that is part of my reminder that I do. Start your morning routine with a reminder. Start your day with a reminder. Have an affirmation up on the wall that says, okay, this is what we do. This is why we're doing this. When you write that why out, put it on sticky notes, put it on the refrigerator. Get a t-shirt that has it. All right. So when you see me on my show, or sometimes you see me out, I have my t-shirt, limitless living, powered by the new me. Well, it says you, but powered by the new you. So why, right? So you're writing that why out, and you are setting reminders to bring you into the space and to bring you back to focus. So the next thing, as we talk about how do we use our deepest why to be consistent, you want to ask yourself, when you're having struggles, does what I'm doing align with my stated purpose, with my why? All right, that alignment we talked about. All right, so rhythm, alignment, and structure. Rhythm, alignment, and structure. So is it aligned with what I say I am going for, I'm looking for? Is it a true is it true to my core? Right? Ultimately, that's the question. Is it true to my core? If you ever feel like you're skipping habit or quitting, you want to come back to this question. If you're moving through and all of a sudden you're like, man, what I'm doing right now, it feels so arduous, and not that you can't have the things that are difficult, because you will, but as you're looking at or in that situation, you want to ask yourself, reevaluate. Is it because what I'm doing right now doesn't quite align with what I say I want to do and what my core values are? Okay, make sure that you are doing that. And as you do that continually, you will find that there are things and times where you will find the answer. Like, oh yeah, I got off course here a little bit. So let me go ahead and let me pivot, let me adjust, let me reorient. It's kind of like the GPS, right? Have you ever been somewhere, you're using the GPS and it tells you to go one place, but you go somewhere else, and then it says redirecting, or you see it recalculating? So what it's doing is that from that point where you are now, it is saying, okay, this was not my initial direction, but I'm still, right? So this is a good point, because what's going to happen is when you reevaluate, sure, you may come up with, okay, this is not really what I'm supposed to be doing, but maybe it is what you're supposed to be doing, and you got off course. And so now from this space, let me redirect. Let me figure out, how do I get back to where I'm supposed to be? And once you do that, right, kind of like the GPS, it says, okay, we know where we are now. We know where we're trying to go. Let's go ahead and go to that direction, or go to that space, that destination, with these new directions, right? So reorient yourself. Man, there are all these concepts that are coming out, right? All these amazing ideas. And if we are not assessing them as we're moving, and that's part of what I love about the walks and what I love about the discussions that we have. Because even as I am talking to you, even as I am going through these concepts and applying them to myself, I'm discovering new connections and new ways of thinking about different things. So, let's just okay. We got a whole new series that we're gonna have to be coming out with. Okay, keep an eye out. All right, and then share your why with someone you trust. Now, there are a couple of ideas here. One of the things that I will talk about sometimes is to say to someone, there is value in sharing our ideas with people. There is benefit to having direction and wisdom and having counsel. Sometimes you will share your idea with people and you will seek their counsel. And for whatever reason, that counsel is not positive. And so here, we're not talking about just sharing your idea and just letting everybody speak into your idea. So not everyone has earned the right to speak into your vision. And so that's why I say you got to find somebody that you trust. Okay? So that's the first overriding concept here. Somebody that you trust. And this goes back to that whole vulnerability that we talked about, being authentic and vulnerable. That happens in trusted spaces. So as you're sharing your vision, you want to find somebody you trust. The second concept here that's very important is that your vision sometimes requires that you plant your feet and regardless of what comes at you, say, this is what I'm doing. Because not everybody is going to see your vision. Not everybody's going to understand. Remember that as you grow and as your brain expands, as your mind expands, you're going to be seeing connections. You're going to be opening up yourself to new possibilities because now you're more confident. You are going to be consistent. You're going to be sure of yourself. And as you move into that space, not everybody is going to have the ability to see what you see. And so sometimes it's you. I mean, I'm putting my feet right here, and this is where I'm heading. Okay, and sometimes you've got to be in that space, and you are. There's a guy here, as one of the programs that we do at our church, and I tell people that there are times when we do something as a group, and it is a sheer force of his will. Because he has the vision, he sees it, he understands what he wants and how things are going to go, and by the sheer force of his desire and his vision, we get there, we move this, we add that, and all of a sudden it's come to fruition where the rest of us may not have seen it. And so that may be a space where you are. That's the second concept. The third one has to do with your vision. There are some visions and some things that we want to do that we've stepped into, and it is so fragile. The idea is so fragile. It's almost like you have to give space. You have to hold space for the idea. And there are ideas that we get that they're transient in our minds. We think about them. Sometimes if we don't write them down, they move away. But sometimes you catch one of those and it is so surprising. It's almost scary to think that this possibly can happen. And if we're not careful, if we don't nurture that idea, then that idea can wisp away. And there are times when you've got to protect that thing. It's like a little seed. You've got to water it. You've got to give it sunlight. You've got to smile at it. You've got to talk about it. You've got to rehearse it in your mind. You've got to attach some emotion to it. And if you do that, then those ideas come. Does that make sense? Now, back to our main point. So as you've come up with the why, find a trusted person and share it with them. Say, hey, this is why I'm doing this. This is what's going on. This is the space that I find myself in. This is where I'm heading. And encourage, well, not encourage, but have that person check in with you. Say, please, would you check in with me? Let's maybe they're your accountability partner, right? When we talked about the people that are in your network, maybe they're one of those people. And what you're doing is you are holding yourself accountable, and you're setting yourself up to have someone else that you could bounce ideas off of. So that's an amazing one. Accountability strengthens motivation, and when someone else knows that you're doing something, when you share that with them, like 100-day walk of consistency, when you share that, when it's out there, guess what? you're motivated, right? Right? Because people are expecting it. People are looking for it. People want to know, okay, are we doing this? And so you get to create for yourself almost a built-in support system that pushes you forward and helps you along the direction of where you need to go. So motivation, right? Motivation. Why is motivation, the deep core motivation, why are those important? That's it right there. Because it sets us up for amazing, amazing success. All right, so we can't ever leave without doing our challenge. So you ready? You ready for the challenge? Of course, you've grabbed you grabbed your journal, and you are ready. You are ready to move into that space. So here we are. Here we are. Get it? So why? So here's our challenge, and our challenge really is to discover the deep why, the deeper why. So you want to write down your goals. What goals are you working on right now? And it may be something just, some short-term goal. Maybe it's a long-term goal. What goal is it? Write it down. What do you want to achieve? What is really your goal? What are you trying to achieve? And let's go through and let's do the 7-layer deep, right? So this is a goal that you're working on right now. Why do you want to do it? When you get that answer, why do you want to do that? When you get that answer, why for that answer? When you get that, why for that answer? So we're going to go 7 layers until we come up with what is a deeper reason, deeper motivation. So we're going to ask that each time. Each time, challenge yourself to go deeper, dig deeper. What is it? And begin to hold that thing and work around that thing and look at it from different perspective. Okay, add emotion to it. When you get to each one of those, maybe ask yourself, what happens if I accomplish this? What happens if I don't accomplish this? What are the feelings? What is my life going to be like? Right? So we're looking at this thing as robust and in a 360 degree. And then write your final statement down and put it somewhere where it's visible, and then make it a daily reminder on your phone or on your calendar, so that, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what's pushing me. This is what's motivating me, so that you are setting yourself up for the best possibility of success. Yeah. So motivation is incredible. And we want to make sure that as we're talking about what we want to do, that we're doing them for the right reason, and that we have that push, we have that drive, we have that thing in us that's going to help us be as successful as possible. Motivation fades when it's shallow, but when you connect to your deeper motivation, that is a driving force that is unstoppable. Make sure that you are putting the time in as you're going through the exercise for this episode. Make sure that you're spending the time. Make it robust. Don't just be shallow. I want you to dig deep, right? 7 layers deep. Because when you can identify that, when you can come up with what's the deepest why, then the benefit, the richness that you get as you're moving through the space of being successful is beyond explanation. Each day that you show up, you are building another version of yourself, a better, more consistent, more resilient version of yourself, more self-confident. I'm glad that you're here for another day of my 100-day walk to consistency and health. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for Endocrinology. Here on the channel and in the episode, we educate, empower, and encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. Tomorrow we're coming back for another day. That's day number 77 as we continue on our consistency. We'll see you on the walk.